Hold on, testing. Why did it do that? God fucking damn. Okay, hold on. My, oh, it was on mute on the settings when I have never. Anyways, all right, transitioning in 3, 2. All right, we are live after some technical issues in the background.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
No.
Yeah, for anyone to disclaimer too, yeah, Lloyd currently does not have his computer, so we're gonna be listening through him through his phone, and he's gonna try his best to listen to us through his phone.
It's okay. He's a trooper. He's still here, even with all the problems with his computer.
Yeah,
I have headphones, so I can hear y'all
I
clearly.
commend him. I commend him.
Yep. Oh man. But anyways, welcome again to everybody to another night of the Hot or Trash podcast, where we're gonna just start saying some shit now. And yeah, sorry for all the wait, everybody. Oopsies. But if you guys haven't seen the banner going into it, yes, today's topic is going to be about sports. Now, which one do I mean? Good question. But let's go with the iceberg.
Almost all.
Almost all, yeah. But I'll try my best to focus some talking points here and there. Probably not, but we'll see. But let's go ahead and start with the basic things. What are your two's like introductions to like any type of sports in general? What was your first sports that you watched? Sports games or
Watch
Football for
play.
me.
Because basketball for me. When I was in elementary school, I joined up with the kids in the basketball court, and I started tossing balls around. And
Damn.
Hell yeah.
I started enjoying basketball and started
Damn.
watching basketball a lot too.
Dude, I was watching grown men in fucking heights tackling each other and grabbing each other and catching balls
Wow.
when I was 4 years old. What an
Crazy
introduction.
boy.
Disclaimer for everybody, we are definitely straight.
Correct.
No, we almost
Oh
we
my god.
homosexual.
God damn it. Okay. Well,
They see each other.
Well, I'll go ahead and start doing my shtick then. I actually did watch like football kind of introduced to me, but it was mostly because my dad was watching it. Outside of that, the only thing I was mostly watching was a lot of like wrestling, boxing stuff, and then UFC started becoming a thing back in our middle school, if I remember. Yeah, so I was mostly like just introduced to sports through that way. I haven't really grown that much attachment to like the traditional sports such as like football, basketball, baseball, whatnot too. I'll be honest, I was taken to my first like baseball game, and that was to watch the Texas Rangers. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. All I remember is that I was bored as hell.
Absolutely.
Hit a grand slam. Okay.
That's all right, bro. I only watch two sports. Technically, well, yeah, two sports. It's just basketball and football now.
Yeah,
Back then used to be esports as well, but you know,
yeah.
it's kind of dookie nowadays.
I guess it depends on which esports that we're watching still. But I don't know. Maybe it's like for us, like we used to watch a lot of League of Legends LCS. That was the esports that we would have watched.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But I think right now, I think the stadium for like esports, stadium and not in like an actual place, but like just the environment that esports is in right now, I don't think we're in mind when they're trying to set up all these shows and games. I think.
Oh, yeah.
But regardless, then we go back to traditional sports and whatnot. So I'm like kind of watching football, basketball kind of second-handedly, but I'm doing my best to try to follow in on that shit. So I'll probably throw, in this case, football questions to y'all and to whatnot. But to those that are watching this and they're not an American viewer, which I know there are some that aren't like that, how would you guys best describe American football? Not to get it confused with the other football.
Yeah, man, we have to specify American football because the rest of the world calls that soccer.
Yeah, we call it soccer here.
We call it soccer. Everybody else calls it football.
Yeah.
But
It's definitely around more than American football.
But if you want to describe American football, it's just big burly men, just
In tights.
in tights
so
and shoulder pads, just bumping into each other, hugging each other, dragging each other down,
Okay, let's
tossing balls
I want
around,
to know
running
what
with
y'all
balls.
wanna do.
smacking balls,
After the,
I will say this too.
fondling with balls.
No, there is actually a better comparison for that too. If for the rest of the world, it's like rugby, but imagine more regulation and rules, and you're no longer allowed to fucking like just straight up spear tackle or just shoulder bump people.
I mean,
Am I?
I guess
you
it is.
still no.
It is,
How I would like you're on the right track. How it is rugby, and you tackle each other, but it is a lot more padding. You have a helmet, you have shoulder pads, you have shin guards, and you have all that shebang to protect yourself because you get hit in the head, you're fucked.
You have
Yeah.
protection, bro. American football, we're big, we're burly, but we got protection.
Yeah, it's to protect them.
Yeah.
We're not.
So-
it's not the
more
real
like-
men. It's not the real man's football.
Yeah,
like rugby
gotcha.
is.
Now that's pretty much the only differential or the only similarity that we can draw on. Here's the actual differences that at least here in America, where it's not really just a normal sports like everything else. It's like in like the rest of the world, they treat like their football as like a much more a pop culture thing. In America, American football, in our point of view, it is a cultural pop culture like event that starts from the beginning of autumn. So I'm pretty sure the next NFL season is like right around the corner.
Yeah, about August, September.
Preseason. Preseason
Yeah.
will start in August. The regular season starts in September. I believe in a couple of months they'll start their training camp. So
Yeah.
there's all that. Get ready. Get back in shape.
Yeah, because like if anything, a lot of the how long like the NFL season lasts, it goes from the early autumn to like mid winter or late winter, depending on some of the games.
Well, really, just February. That's
it
when
will
the Super Bowl
be-
is.
I will clarify that for a specific time range. Like I said, I'll reiterate it. Preseason, you don't really count that. It's just mainly to cut the roster down to like 53 people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then in September is usually the second week. So around probably like the 10th, I would say. I think it's around that time of this year.
Gotcha.
So around, let's say that time in September to about the first or second week of February, and that's when the Super Bowl is being held.
Gotcha.
So about a 5-month time period if you are going to the Super Bowl. But in totality, for us fans as consumers, it'll be about 5 months.
So, and now in this case, we'll go into the question of for those that do like, at least they understand like what this sport technically looks like, such as the fact that it's more like a much more ruled out, or in this case, a lot more regulation heavy like rugby, right? But the differences aside from your point, now it comes to the question of like, okay, so you have the regular NFL, but then it sounds like you hear a lot of words like you have like different regions competing as well too. In this case, do you mind elaborating on that?
Yeah, so what you're trying to so what you really so what it really is, so the NFL has 32 teams. They're gonna be split into the NFC, which is the National Football Conference, and the AFC, which is the American Football Conference. So 16 teams will be on each side, and those are then split into 4 divisions. And those divisions, respectively, like they'll be NFC and AFC. They'll be separated into Northwest, East, and South. So like AFC South, NFC South, and etc. So that's how they are separated. So they're separated by 2 conferences, then 4 different. So and there's like 4 divisions within the conference.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming either way, probably in their eyes too, like in each of those conferences or regions too, out of the 4 teams, whoever gets the most points will be put on like a bracket, right? Of like playing for the Super Bowl.
Not necessarily points. It's going to be by wins. So, how it's formatted nowadays, it used to be 6 teams that were going to playoffs from each conference. Now it's 7 teams, and it's a different type of format. So, back in the day, it was two teams that would get a bye when they make it to the playoffs. So that way they're like, they get a 1 week breather. So they have more of a advantage energy wise and more scouting essentially. So they have like nearly 2 weeks to like practice and like study essentially.
Gotcha.
Um, Nowadays you have to go by wins. Well, it's not nowadays, but it's always been by wins. So each division leader will always make it to the playoffs. So if you are leading in your division, you'll be ranked accordingly by how much wins you have. So if like one division leader has 12, the other one has 11, and everybody else has like lesser than that. So let's say just for the sake of this is 12 to like 12, 11, 10, and 9. Obviously, it's gonna be first, second, third, and fourth by wins.
Right.
And the first number one seed will always get a bye because they pretty much either they're the best in the league or they're best in their respective conference,
Gotcha.
essentially.
So,
Then we have
mhm.
the wild card, which is the three teams that are within, like, it's just the three teams that aren't division leaders, but they can still win, like, through math, essentially. So, you can have a better record than most, or if you were to like try to squeeze in at the seventh seed, and both of your records like 9 and 8. If you were to like, let's say y'all played like one team, let's say the I would say let's say the Packers and the fucking like Commanders, right? Washington Commanders, they played each other early in the year, and the Packers won that head to head, and they're both 9 and 8 at the end of the year. How the tiebreaker would work is they would go by the head to head. So Packers would win. They won earlier in the year, so they would get the seventh seed.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
how it
it
would work.
gotcha. So now with that kind of in a way too, it is a bit confusing for like the people regardless too. But honestly, I think the best advice too is just choose like a division or area and just watch like those four teams play against each other.
Mm, you can watch any like.
Yeah, you can watch any realistically, but to those that are starting off wanting to know more
I
about
I
football.
would say just watching in general, you can pick it up. I would say you wouldn't have to worry about the division like too much.
Mhm.
You can worry about that later on when there's like the playoffs, because that way it's more concise. All 14 teams that are going to be in the playoffs are in there due to math, and pretty much it's just based on win
Gotcha.
percentage, and like head to head.
Gotcha.
So
Now,
yeah.
yeah. So if anything, that's probably out of the way. Now we get to in this case the nitty gritty about like the details of football now. Now, if I remember, correct me if I am wrong with some of these informations. Usually, a tradition, the way how football games are usually played out, you have 11 players on each side, so 22 players out on the field at a given time,
Mm,
right? One offensive, one
right.
defensive, whoever wins like the coin toss at the very beginning of the game. So,
Yeah.
going from there, I think the other things that go about it too is that there's some rules, and I see that like the defensive line, or not if anything, sorry, the rules of what I was about to say earlier before I said
Mm,
the word defensive line is in this case the amount of regulation, or not even regulation, there are a lot of penalties that are available in the game. What are in
yeah.
this case the most common penalties?
Well, common penalty is probably like holding, like false start.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pretty much those are like the most called like penalties. Like either
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be and offsides too, but
Mm-hmm.
mainly it's gonna be holding and false start, and it's
Gotcha.
usually always on the offensive linemen's.
Gotcha.
Those are the most called. When you get like into the secondary, like when the play is already running, um, it's more that holding can still be called and everything, but there's like also hold. Not It's not just pertaining to the linemen that are like on the line of scrimmage. Like you can have any of the secondaries or the linebackers that can commit holding penalties too, or pass
Mm-hmm.
interference.
Yeah.
But there's really like there's technical nuances to when they want to.
Yeah. So if anything, what's because I also heard there's a differences between like offensive holding and defensive holding. What kind of penalties do you look at for either
So
of those?
offensive holding to pretty much is, let's say, you know, the defensive lineman has a clear advantage and he already like won and got past the offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much holding is just honestly just grabbing him and not letting go, and that's pretty much holding. And that'll be called every time.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive holding is when you're not allowing the either, for example, like a corner, they're allowed to make contact within the first 5 yards, and after that, there'll be illegal contact, like
Mm-hmm.
just like a certain nudge that like will get them off the route. And holding is literally, yeah, it's the same concept. You prevent them from getting,
Gotcha.
running the route that they need to. And
Gotcha.
it can also happen on the line as well with the big men's,
Mm-hmm.
and not allowing the offensive tackle to go, you know, pretty much play his role. So if he's supposed to swing and you engage and you're not letting him, like you're visibly holding him and he's not allowed to move because of that, that can be defensive.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I think what a lot of people do get like confused with too, because they hear just in this case, like when they call out holding, but then the penalties is like where or at least the penalties is different based on if it's a defensive or offensive holding.
Yeah. And penalties can offset as well.
Mhm.
So if there's two penalties, one on the offense, one on the defense, they can offset and they'll just replay the down.
Gotcha. In this
Yeah,
case,
yeah.
just a do over entirely.
Yeah, essentially. It's just a little do-over because two penalties were committed.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
So with that, and then you have the other like uh most common penalty, which is in this case, shit. I know
It's a
you
false
just
start.
yeah,
It's a
false
false
start.
start. Yeah,
Now,
it'll be
if I
called every
remember,
time.
yeah, I
Yeah,
remember correctly
it
too. It only applies to whoever is the offensive, right?
yeah, it usually always pertains to the offense. Defense is usually going to be like size or neutral zone infraction, that type of deal. Is they're just lined up on the line of scrimmage. They're supposed to line up of it.
Yeah, because if I
But
remember,
false start
defensive team.
is
Yeah.
just a false start is just moving before the play happens. So before like the ball is snapped, and you're all set, right? And
Mhm.
say like everybody is set, and you make a little nudge, they will call you for that. It's like the smallest little nudge is because you move your feet like 1 inch and they see it. Everybody will see it on the big screen as well. They're gonna call it every time, and you're gonna get flagged down for 5 yards. But
Gotcha.
yeah, even the quarterback he can also be called for a false start as well. It's not
Common.
called too often, but it does get called. But it's
Mhm.
mostly on the line. That's when it get called because they're like it's like you want to protect your quarterback, so you get kind of clinchy. So you want to get like your first step, like a good first step. But then you went a little bit too early, and it's gonna be easily called.
Gotcha.
But
So yeah, so with that aside too, because I am definitely like a dummy when it comes to all this shit. So I'm mostly learning a lot of this new because I also just watched like a literally a dummy's guide into how American football works, right? And so
mm,
then it's like I kind of now understand the differences of in this case you have a linebacker, a quarterback, and then a safety. Where the safety is literally the last line of defense for a defensive line, and
mm,
usually both the
the
line and
second.
quarterbacker is like they have like their separate roles that they do, right?
So um, so the quarterback's on offense, linebacker and safety. Yes, they're both on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just want to clarify. So the safety, yes, he is the last line essentially. So any uh, deep routes that goes beyond him, he's going to be responsible for it. So they don't get like a big playoff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's there for. He's just like basically to protect you. He basically minimizes what you can do vertically downfield. but he like you can give up like the shorter plays, and he's just like everybody will be there like, in
Mhm.
just a little area. Linebackers, they're usually like the more bigger, like more versatile um
Because they usually
players.
commonly like they go for like anyone that's a runner back or just any wide
Yeah,
receivers.
so they'll like anybody. We'll get more into that later on, but they're usually responsible for like tight ends or like the running backs on like certain
Okay.
plays. But there are times to where there's like what you call a Mike linebacker. So he'll be like the leader of that.
Mm,
So he's gonna call out the play, what he sees. He'll make adjustments. He'll tell everybody, hey, like move here. So he's gonna be responsible for getting everybody in that position, and he'll see the play, recognize it, then they'll
mm,
like adjust accordingly.
yeah.
So
Be-
in on the flip side, the quarterback is also that person. They're basically playing a chess game with the defense. Like the
mhm.
defense and offense is more like before the play like even commence, they're playing a chess game. It's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna think? What are you thinking? What am I thinking? Like they're thinking like 3, 4 steps ahead, and like maybe they study. Like, this is why people like study like teams. It's like, oh, they have a tendency. Every team has a tendency to do this in certain situations. They when they recognize that, they're like, oh, we've seen this so many times. That's what they're gonna do, and let's call it play to like counteract that.
Yeah.
So that linebacker or anybody on that defense recognizes what the offense is going to do. The quarterback is then responsible. Hey, oh, they recognize our play, and they're like, we might,
We gotta
turn the
revise
ball.
it.
Yeah, essentially, it's inaudible. So they're going to be responsible to call an audible to minimize the losses or even get like something short, like maybe like 2 or 3 yards instead of, getting sacked like 10. So
Right.
they minimize their loss. So, and yeah, I would say, yes, it's the physical sports, but there's also a mental aspect to every sport there is. You have to think ahead of time. You don't want to just think in like in the now, you want to think a few steps in the future,
Yeah.
essentially.
So yeah, so it's like if anything, there's always going to be that strategic component in any sport that we're gonna be watching too. It's the same thing with like my comparison with like UFC, right? And it's the fact that like most MMA, because it's just like a mixture of martial arts, it's literally just choosing the right move for the right situation. Where this can literally apply to anywhere
It can
else.
apply to any sport. Yeah, correct. You can apply it to anywhere. Um, Whether you can execute it is a whole different story, but there's always a strategic aspect, and that's where the beauty of sports comes in because it's also a game based on the brain,
Like,
and you'd
yeah,
be so
with
surprised. You like you look at it and like, damn, that's pretty cool. That was dope. And like how they thought about it, it's like, oh, we saw this like less game plan for it. Like even
mhm,
in basketball, Victor has yeah, like Victor has he played basketball back in high school, right? So obviously the
Mhm.
coach is gonna like train like he's gonna get him involved. It's like if Victor was what he was like a shooting guard, I believe. You correct?
Yeah, something
You were
like
shooting
that.
guard?
Yeah, shooting guard.
Yeah, you were like the one or the two.
mhm,
Um so basically they're gonna try to get him open, free him up. Like if you watch the Mavs game, I know this is football, but it's still we were like on the topic of football, but now we're like more like into like the generality
mhm,
sports. There, like, if you saw how like you were watching the game with us, like the Mavs and Timberwolves,
yeah,
there are multiple occasions where like Luca, um, he would, he would just call, he would have an ISO, right? Drive into the rim, and he forces like 3 or 4 guys, like, to protect that, not to get for him not to get easy basket. And what
mhm,
does that do? He's being surrounded by 3 or 4 guys to him. So if you do the math, people are like open on like in the corners or on the like top of the key, like so he can just literally pass it back, and now they have an open shot, and
Mhm.
that goes into the strategic. Um, game plan as well. It's like, yeah, I was like, oh, now you have to value the threat. Like, now you have to value the threat of him going in. Oh, he can score easy bucket, which he will kill you with. But so you have the game plan around like the bigger stars, and like you can contain them, but you're never gonna fucking stop them. Like it's just impossible. Like they'll find some other way to contribute, whether it's like through like defense or you know passing the ball to teammates, because they can contribute so many other ways.
Right. So, with that being said, though, let's go back to like the whole football talk because that was the only thing I could do research on, and maybe some things.
Yeah, we'll
But-
let you know about some basketball stuff, dude. No worries.
Yeah, we'll move on to basketball in a little bit. I was playing further with that game.
So, and I guess right now, like the best way I'll probably say as the closing statement for the football topic here, what are some like things to look out for right now, especially with, right now there's like a new ruling where like hip drop tackles are going to be considered banned in that regard. Could you explain a little bit on that? Like what a hip drop tackle is?
Hip drop is essentially you are behind the player, right? You wrap up and you're kind of like dragging them down, but you use like how would I explain it? You use like literally like dropping their hip and pretty much putting all your weight just to bring them down. It's more I can't really explain it too well, but the reason why this is like such a controversial topic between us as fans and the players is that from what we see and what they see, right? Oh, it's part of the game, but we're thinking about more of the long-term conditions of these players, and people forget that these are fucking humans too. They just put in more work than us, and they're the professionals and playing a more like a gladiators like sport. So the reason why is just the amount of injuries increased significantly with these type of tackles, and they resulted in a lot like multiple leg injuries. I believe like about maybe a year ago, I would say in the playoffs, um, Tony Pollard, he was brought down by a hip tackle, and if you see on the uh, like on the replay, you can see like what a hip drop is. It's literally putting all your weight into that person's pretty much like leg and bringing them down as well. And when he was brought down, his leg got caught up between like in between like, the other player, and that is literally over 200 pounds of plus extra, which you're like going down into the ground, which is like creating extra like force into his ankle, and it literally broke, and he was out for like the rest of the game. Also, to add on to that, there was another incident. Dak Prescott, when he literally had a compound fracture in his ankle, and it took him like so long to even get back. It was because of the hip drop tackle. It was like there's so many injuries regarding that type of tackle. But players like within like the player association, they say it's like some disagree, some agree, but the people that like the players that disagree or even us as fans, it's like, oh, it's part of the game. Now we can't even play defense. It's like, how the hell are we supposed to tackle anybody? And like I get that sentiment, but we still have to think about the safety of the players. But let's not turn it into flag football. Like I agree with that. Let's not turn it into flag football. Like you might as well just play flag
like
football.
touch football or touch football
Yeah,
at that
or
point.
like you just there's like different rules. You can't like straight up like send this guy to the fucking moon. But now you're just like taking off a little piece of cloth. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you might as well just play that if you want to complain. Like, oh, it's like safe. Like, that's basically what they're implying. Like, oh, we can't even play defense. It's most of this rule is mainly geared. Like a lot of these rules is geared towards like the defensive players not being able to really do anything, and it's been that way for like several years now. Like the offense is more prevalent, and it's just easier to march down the field with all these rules that they can abuse. So
Mhm.
yeah, player safety, a lot of it. That's why the helmet is a 15-yard penalty and a personal foul, so you'll get fined for that.
Right.
So any personal foul, any personal penalty, you will get fined by the NFL because like helmet to helmet, horse collar, that's intentions to harm the other player. Like that's not part of the game. It's like you have a personal grudge against them, and it's harming them. Like imagine you are playing football, right? It doesn't matter what
Right.
weight. You have helmets on. You are going at full speed against another human being, and you crash into their helmet. How do you think how that would feel?
Hmm. Pretty terrible, actually.
Oh, it
Yeah,
hurts a lot.
yeah. So imagine that. Like you're driving, like it's head to head. Like it's the like you could be paralyzed. Like people have been like there was like believe it is Ryan Shazier. He he was paralyzed for like a good like I think he might still be, but it was a similar tackle where he used his helmet, and that literally caused him to be paralyzed. Like he was not walking at all. Even today, I saw like he's still struggling like to walk. Like his progress is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it's still about the player safety.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's also
And
like it
of course,
ended
yeah,
his career at that point.
essentially you can't really recover that, and it kind of fucks up your life too. We're like how it's pretty much it. It would just mess up your life. Like these concussions. Like even we have a close friend. Let's not name drop him, but he did have a few concussions. So that
Yeah.
will affect your life. So yeah, like concussions. That's a big thing. Troy Aikman had a few. So he had to end his career pretty early. Horse collar tackles. Like you're pretty much getting yanked from your jersey and like dragged down like a little rag doll. It's like you just like damn. Like it's vicious. When you see it, it is vicious. It's like there's some intent to like kill or something.
Mhm.
Like it's so different. Like holy cow.
Like
So
it's
that yeah,
scary to see, right? Yeah.
yeah. Like I know it's part of the game. Like you see like a big hit, right? And it's like oh, like it's within the confines of the rules. It's like oh god, that was like such a nasty hit. Like it was a big hit. Like you hear it. Like you hear the paths colliding, and it's just like it's a vicious noise, but it gets you riled up and you want to see more of it. But you still have to don't get me wrong, it's part of the game, but it's still part of player safety. I still like to see not them playing like timid, you know, little
Mhm.
humans.
Mhm.
Sometimes like oh I can't do so and so because of regulations.
Of course, dude. I mean, if all the players are injured, then who's going to play the game?
Yeah,
Of course, people want to see these players smack each other, but at the same time, if everybody's injured, then there's no game.
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah. So I just want to just to build upon this now, like knowing the extent of like injuries and everything. I want to ask the question, like, so knowing that you are putting your body on the line, literally when you step on the field against these big human beings who can destroy you at any given moment. Do you think that these athletes specifically, even regardless, like even football, or basketball, or even tennis, UFC, all of them. Do you think they should get paid for millions for what they do? And you know, give me give me some details of why you think so or you don't think so.
I mean,
That's
it
a
really
hard one.
depends. It really depends. I mean,
Yeah,
we can play the same sport casually, but nobody's going to pay us millions. Well, that's
Yeah.
not the point. I understand
it's
that. It also
professional level.
it also depends on how much people are watching it too. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
if nobody watches the sport, then they're not going to get paid that much. It doesn't matter how rough the sport is.
Yeah.
So
And
in that
yeah.
context, let's just say there is a lot of revenue generated. Let's put that in perspective as well. Let's say they're making like the NFL is making like freaking like millions and billions to pay these
Hmm.
players.
Hmm.
So now that let's put that in perspective. let's disregard any like just like low revenue type of deal and let's bring it up to high revenue. Now they're getting paid like 17, 18 million. Then yeah.
It depends on how good they are. I would say that because when the better they are, the more money they're going to bring in for the team, for the
Yeah.
most part. It's just
Both
like the
in
Kansas
terms
City
of
Chiefs.
yeah,
It's like Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, he's literally like the face of the NFL.
Yeah.
And that man gets paid like a lot.
Nobody will disagree.
And that man gets paid a lot. And like, how much? I think what's his contract
He
like? I don't
gets
even know his contract.
quarter, I think 10 years, it was like a quarter of a billion. No, not a quarter, but half a billion.
Half a billion? 500
Yeah.
million?
I think he was paid 500.
Christ almighty. But either way, yeah, as you can see, like the face of the NFL getting paid that much. I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good. Is he $500 million good? I don't think so. I'm gonna be completely honest.
yeah.
Granted, Kansas City Chiefs is still the best in the league right now, but
Yeah.
he still has his up and downs if you guys watch the regular season games. So, I mean, $500 million a bit much in my eyes, but yeah.
Anyways, that last Super Bowl was rigged from the very start. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So, Brian, I know you just heard Victor. You want to like go ahead and include your take on it, like whether it's shorter.
So, if anything, this is going to be coming from the context of like fighting sports, right? So, in this case, the thing of like already with like boxing itself, there's obviously like you're going in there, you're gonna get hurt one way or the other. It is probably in this case too, where like for football players, they actually do have like a lot of good protections and whatnot too. Boxing, there is still a lot more protections too. There's like a lot of like other regulations that you can't really do, such as the fact that elbowing is not allowed to, in this case, groin shot. Hell, there's even still the debate whether or not if liver shots should still be like outruled or not. Yeah, just because like if you actually were to get hit in the liver, it hurts. Like you're going down for the count. You are not getting back up. And in some cases too, some would say to like, oh, that's probably like a good move to do, but it's like there's a bad long-term health effects if you keep getting hit in the liver. All right. So it's really hard to really say otherwise too, that like at least in some like boxing champions or boxing competitors, yeah, the contracts that they do get, they should get paid a lot more, but like what Victor says, it depends on who's watching them, right? Because let's be honest, like tickets will sell, or if the tickets will sell, that means the players are getting paid, both in any sports that we play in. Let's take, for example, imagine right now the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. I don't know why we're fucking wanting to see Mike Tyson play, because, we even had like interviews with Mike Tyson straight up saying that the only reason why he kind of had to give up on boxing wasn't because of the fact that other stuff where he got so into the whole scene where he bit somebody's ear off. It's not even the whole ear, it was like a nibble. But still, yeah. But really, it was primarily the fact that like Mike Tyson didn't want to just be like who he was, where on the ring he was called like Iron Mike, who he is more terrified of just because of the fact that that's just him in the zone. And it's like you get someone like Jake Paul, mind you. I've said some things outside of podcasts where like despite like how he is very much a piece of shit of a human being, he's not bad as a boxer, surprisingly.
He's dedicated like time to like
actually learn
develop
and
his craft. Like it's not bullshit. Like he's putting work into it.
Yeah, which is something that's like this is something to really take a note to those that want to doubt Jake Paul. I'll be honest with you, I probably get my ass kicked by him if I called him an asshole and I want to fight him. No, I probably lose to that. So my big thing here is the fact that I don't really want to see, not in this case, Jake Paul beating up on Mike Tyson because he's old, because I'm scared of what's going to happen if you let Mike Tyson loose again.
That's what be. He's still he's like 50 something, but he's still whoop your ass.
Yeah. Yeah. There's even like the regulation rules where like Jake Paul is allowed to wear a headgear because it is effectively like Mike Tyson is a heavyweight boxer. For those that don't know, there are different weight classes in boxing, such as you have their featherweight.
There are reason why there are weight classes.
Yeah. You have your featherweight, welterweight, middleweight, and then heavyweight.
Like you're gonna get knocked out, and it's gonna feel so much heavier when those punches
Yeah.
connect to your body or your face.
Yeah. And to those that are trying to figure out this too for by the weight classes, Manny Pacquiao's in between feather and welterweight, but he mostly plays in the featherweight championship. Um, Mike Tyson is the heavyweight. I think the movie Rocky himself, I don't remember if he was classified as middle or heavy, but it's somewhere between those two.
He's probably middle. He's not as big
Yeah.
as he wouldn't be as big as like all those big one like that Vander Holyfields, like
Mhm.
Mike Tyson's and everything. So they were like Rocky in that movie. He wasn't super big, so he was probably like middleweight if I
Yeah.
remember. Maybe
Yeah.
you can fact check. You can fact check me on that, but I do believe with the size of remembering how it was, it's probably middleweight.
And then there's like straight up like I would recommend people to watch Creed for all types of things. It's great.
Hey man,
So
you can simp over Michael B. Jordan too. You don't have to watch for boxing.
yeah. Oh no, wait. Rocky was considered a heavyweight boxer throughout the movies.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, we're fact checking.
Yeah. So we got that. I'm pretty sure Creed was also like a heavyweight technically, but
Really?
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter really. Going back to the main question, should players be in this case paid a lot more for a lot of types of bodily injury that they're facing or putting themselves through? I would say in this case yes, but at the same time that also depends on the fact that like how much people are willing to watch. Just because at the end of the day, we ourselves we can state that like, hey, we need to make sure that like the players do have in this case a future outside of the sport if they decide to retire. So,
Oh,
but obviously
Well,
it's all upholden to in this case is their viewerships, which in most cases for football there will always be viewership because it's literally a pop culture icon here in the US. So I don't think
absolutely.
that's going anywhere. But
and
I
NASCAR.
could,
Don't forget that.
yeah. And I can
Super.
only state that too, that like it's getting a lot more interesting too, especially in the fighting competitive sports too. Because like UFC is kind of like plateauing here and there too, because not a lot of people talk about it no more. WWE has seen a decline as well too, but it's also like seen an uptick as well, just because the fact that I think nowadays too, people used to call WWE as like defending that it's not like a fake sport and whatnot, and it's like more performative and whatnot, and people are just acting. It was like as soon as people kind of got over that and they kind of accept for what it is, people are starting to enjoy WWE more.
It is
Yeah,
entertainment.
yeah,
Worldwide.
yeah.
World
It's like
wrestling.
Worldwide wrestling entertainment. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. It is
Yeah,
definitely
I
could
mean, any of these sports are entertainment. You mean,
yeah,
bro?
yeah, yeah. Technically true. So with that argument, there would other be people that defend, oh, this wrestling is real. It's like, yeah, sure. But if you watch some of the old wrestling clips, dude, man, I fucking love that shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, like that's putting yourself in like bodily harm
Yeah,
every day. They
yeah,
train for that. They train how to fall. There's
yeah,
like signal cues that like go do this, and like they'll give like a little thumbs up or something. You won't see it. It's polite, but you'll see it.
yeah. So with that, I'll say like we'll get like a couple more minutes out of this because we are hitting the 1 hour mark on the stream. But let's go into the yeah, we could go to keep talking about it. But it's like I mean, I kind of know a little bit more about the fighting sports here and there too. Is there some questions you're curious to know about it?
Uh, I think I understand a few, not too much. I think at least they have to abide by like weigh-ins. They have to be like a certain weight and
Yeah,
everything. Obviously no elbows.
yeah. This is
No,
this
pretty
is
much no
reference to
cheap
boxing.
shots. Yeah, just no cheap shots.
Yeah, no cheap shots. That's literally all you can do, dude. There's also like the amount of times you can clinch as well. What clinching means is that like you just see the other person hug the other guy, and
Oh
it's sort
yeah,
of like
that's more
yeah.
into
There's
boxing. So
yeah, yeah. If anything, to those that don't know, clinching, it's literally just a move that a boxer can utilize as well. Either a to like snuff out a punch or to like give himself a breather. Or if anything, they could mask in this case that they definitely got fucking concussed from that last hit too. They don't want to like go down, so they cling on to him. There's other ways how people clinch, right? But and there's even to the point too where like for me, I love a lot of like the fighting sports too because there's a lot of in this case more body anatomy technicality that has to go involved in this too. So let's take that what I'm gonna say to like a UFC sport, why that was like a big phenomenon for then too. It was during the time as well where like we were trying to figure out, or some kids like us trying to figure out which is like the best fighting style. Was it karate, or jiu-jitsu, or in this case taekwondo, like all that stuff. Then MMA came around. It's like it's literally a mix of all martial arts combined together to create this type of new style where someone could fight me on this, but I'm gonna say it right here. I feel like MMA is just a evolved version of kickboxing. That's all it really is to be. You just throw in the fact that you can do grappling. That's about it. Like I said, people will fight me on that one, but if anything, I'm not really entirely wrong on that take either. Just because like you have in this case like the type of terms that thrown out whenever UFC gets thrown around. So you have in this case you have your strikers, your grapplers, and your wrestlers. Those are the three distinct uh types out there. Strikers can either be like they can either be punch strikers or kick strikers. Grapplers, in of its nature too, they are really going in on you and they're trying to control and move you around. Where wrestling is just the old school wrestling shit.
Yeah, like wrestling is tiring, dog.
Yeah.
When you think wrestling easy, you try to do 1 minute of that. It's difficult.
Yeah. And if anything too, it's like this is also like just going to be outside of the in this case only inside stuff that I've heard about too. That's why a lot of times too whenever like wrestling people started getting introduced to UFC fights, a lot of people got really scared too, because half the time too every one of the MMA fighters are used to dealing with grapplers, but they would have no way to answer like against an actual wrestler. Just because like the type of holds that they will put you in, once they get you and they put you in that hold, you have no answers to try to get out of that unless you try to like reverse hold on them to try to get them to submit. Because a lot of times the way you win or you score like takedowns in UFCs or whatnot is either you hit them until they go down, whether it has to be either unconscious or not, as long as they go down, that counts as them going down, or you make them submit. That's also considered as a down.
Yeah.
But
That's crazy.
regardless, but yeah, regardless too, there's so many definitions of what can be considered as a down. But there's also like in this case, you cannot do growing shots in there. But however, there's a big but on this one. This was in one of the UFC fights that I recently watched as well too, where one guy, I forgot the names of it. I'll have to look at the video and probably post it in the description at some point. But it was again this one guy that clearly the guy was aiming directly at his groin, right? And the referee was about to foul him on that, but the opposing player is like, "Nah, I got this." Starts to beat the shit out of him. He was like, "God damn."
Fuck around, find out, bro. Kick me in the nuts again.
Yeah, it was effectively that. It was just like, "Nah, I got this." Just it's one of those things too that like in the at least in a much more visceral like fighting competitive sports, there are definitely rules, but it's also up to the player's discretion if they want to let the penalty apply to them. Such as the fact that like, hey, this guy fucking did a cheap shot on me, and then the lawyer, or in this case, the referee, either they spot it first or the player and whatnot, they'll have to like dispute about that. But obviously, whatever the referee sees and it's bad, nope. It's either they don't get disqualified, but it's like they give them reset, move on to the next round kind of shit. And then most game matches, they have like 16 rounds. That's like for a regular boxing match. I don't remember the number for UFCs and whatnot. Things get really cool, crazy if we watch more UFC fights. It gets even weirder too during the whole COVID pandemic, where I watched one where the stadium was empty. You could hear them fucking hit each other hard, like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, like basketball and football was the same way. You hear these hits. Like you heard those hits during the COVID times with the empty stadium.
Yeah, like if you guys want to like listen to what a lot of sports games or a lot of sports was like without a lot of people in the audience too, like like sports in itself where they're enclosed in like a stadium and not like an open air stadium. That like just watching in this case a simple boxing match, you just hear like bangs and fucking claps just from watching it. It's like amazing and a much more visceral feeling watching it that way. So take it what you will on how I kind of say about it too. I know I'm definitely butchering a lot of it too. But honestly, the only reason why I kind of like fighting sports in general is because I watched a lot of like kung fu films when I was a kid. Why would I not be interested in it? So,
Dun, dun, dun.
Me
no,
too. I
we
watch
can't
a
do.
lot of kung fu films too,
Yeah. So,
but I had to become aggressive.
hey, fuck you. Anyways, shit.
He's aggressive in other manners.
But regardless, I think right now with the way how, at least kind of wording this back to a lot of the sports too, where in this case, in your eyes as well, do you think in this case, when it comes to like bodily harm, who do you think has it worst in all the sports?
Definitely contact sports. Like
Yeah.
like specifically, I would say like UFC and MMA. They're literally trying to like they're
Knock you
literally
out.
punching
They are smacking each other.
bodily. Like this is no protection whatsoever besides the gloves. But
Yeah.
still, you are
Yeah.
UFC fighters or like just MMA in general. They're living weapons. They
Yeah.
have they have everything at their disposal to rid
Yeah.
a human being of their life. Like
Yeah.
there's no exaggeration. They can end your life when
Yeah.
it comes down to it. They have the necessary skills to break your arm, like break your leg. Then they can repeatedly strike your head so that you can just be knocked out.
Yeah. And there's also this fact too that like they're thinking like I heard like a brain dead take too. Why don't they just put elbow pads? Because the elbows strikes are the most deadliest. Like do not give them like consider elbow pads to these people that can throw a good elbow strike. That's just a force
Oh
multiplier
yeah,
at that point.
Absolutely.
oh yeah. I also want to add, um, let's not forget any of the racing. Honestly, like NASCAR and
Yeah.
F1.
Yeah.
F1 especially. I recently saw a clip. You have to be so quick. Like your reaction time has to be in like the 0.001 percentile. That's exaggerating, but you understand what I'm trying to get at. They are going at such high speeds, and they can crash. If they crash,
It's done.
they can end their life, like right
Yeah.
then and there. So that is also pretty dangerous as well. I would say that, like MMA, UFC, along with like F1 and NASCAR, those are pretty dangerous too, because
Yeah.
you go, or you can get on the track or in the ring, and your life could end.
Yeah.
Like football too, but I feel like those two sports, in my opinion, your life would just end like right then and there. Like it can happen any day.
Yeah.
Like you can put on a football uniform, you can be on the bench. Like I got paid, and I didn't have to play a single snap. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like people who got rings in the NBA, like you could sit on the bench and like, oh, I didn't really have to do anything. I was just part of the team. Yeah, sure, I
Yeah.
practiced, but I didn't
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
myself in like fucking danger. So I still stand by. It's gonna be like, F1 NASCAR along with like the fighting sports.
Yeah. So, and I think we'll just say to probably at least end my talk with about it too. That's pretty much my knowledge extent on it too. I don't know too much about the new players that are coming around too. Hell, whenever I mentioned like the grappling stuff as well too, that was still technically a newer like trend that's being introduced to the UFC. And then wrestling became a thing too because yeah, people in there too just want to get in on it. The whole notion of like the why people are scared of wrestlers is like the thing is like a striker is mostly they're really quick and they're precise with their hits. Even if they try to hit the wrestler, they would just power through it and they will try to grab you. Yeah. So the problem being is that like for the wrestler, they don't care. They don't give a shit about points. They want to make you submit. That is their
Oh, dude.
goal.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
because like let's be honest too. If you're in a position where okay, I know how to throw like kicks and punches to in this case, I could do like thigh hits with my kicks. Those hurt like shit. I'll oh god. I think I had someone that actually did that to me too. I'm like, nope, I'm fucking down. Ah fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
hammered in the leg enough, yeah, you start to like wobble a little bit like Jello, like, oh, you got some Jello. I'm like,
Yeah.
God, you know.
Yeah. So if anything, thigh hits are no joke here. But the thing is, with like a wrestler, they in this case they train their legs to. In this case, they can. One of the training exercise I see that a wrestler does is like from a sitting position, they can launch themselves towards you really quick,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
actually wickedly insane. Like how fast, like the next moment that you're facing, and as soon as you blink, they're already behind you and about to fucking suplex you.
Dude, this is why I say UFC, they are living weapons.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are like Bucky Barnes that was made in the lab, but instead of a lab, they were made in a gym.
And this is something that they trained for. And that's why I fucking love fighting sports, right? Because if it is this case, dude, like you take away a lot of like the honestly the physical harm about it, you gotta appreciate how a lot of like the fighters themselves do. Yeah, if they won't be able to describe it that well, but then you can tell by the way how they like perform that is instilled into their body that they know how to throw perfect strikes to, in this case, knowing how to do the perfect holds. And even if there's always like variations to like the guy is like squirms around and he's put into this specific position, they have an answer to that too.
Oh yeah.
So
Dude.
So if anything, I do like fighting sports when it comes to be like a lot more technical than it is like just a straight up like brawl. Even though those are fun to watch here and there too. But obviously I'm enjoying more on like the technical side. I'm like kind of piecing things together that I see from this to that. And man, visceral thing to watch as well. But
It is visceral.
but I do want to watch more like football stuff because
I say right now, watch more basketball. That's what's hot right now. It is pretty fun to watch. On that note, I do want to ask like a little fun little question. It's really hypothetical, but if you had the chance to dedicate yourself to one sport, you make it pro and everything, go through the training without any worries, what sport would it be? Like I'll go like last before.
All right.
After y'all.
Let's see.
I'd say anybody can. Yeah.
Let's see. I'd say I go fucking tennis.
Tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can like elaborate on it. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to?
So here's like a fun like small story about what I did too. The only reason why like I in this case got to do tennis really was because the fact that I watched the anime Prince of Tennis. I'm gonna get that out of the way right now. For those that was born, I'm about to call out anybody that was born in 95 and 96. Your only reason why you joined tennis was either A, because you saw a hot Asian chick also join it too, or because you watched Prince of Tennis. Those are your only two options. I will not accept either. I will not accept anything outside of that.
I agree. I 100% agree. That's why only Asians play tennis back then.
Yeah, exactly my point.
Oh, yeah.
So, regardless, yes, I would have been a tennis player. Now, only because of the fact that like I was kind of okay with it too. I was just not taking it seriously too. And I got like reprimanded by my coach a lot of times too because the fact that apparently I was actually decent or okay too. I just placed really low because of my stamina.
Yeah, happens.
Yeah. But then it's like throughout my tennis team too, I am considered like the strongest. Just because like I benched and I deadlifted more than everybody, where I was effectively like about to start deadlifting or weightlifting with the football people.
Damn, bro.
Damn. You were playing tennis though?
Yeah. I was like considered the second strongest. The first strongest was this Korean dude. He was like straight from Korea. And he was like my workout buddy. We were both in the bottom two. But And if anything,
Yeah.
too, when it came to like tennis practice, I have a very weird way of serving. Where in this case, I think the way they call it out is called a twister serve. Where effectively what it looks like if I do serve and I hit the ball, despite like how I'm considered the strongest, I don't actually hit it hard, but I do hit it hard enough where like it's at an angle where the ball is approaching to the other side of the net very slowly, but it's actually spinning so fast by the time it hits the ground, it speeds up.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
Like, yeah, I was able to do that shit consistently. And it keeps fucking up the other team members because they're like, how the fuck? Like,
Oh, yeah.
take it from this case. I'm like going against like people that are in a higher seat than me, and yet I'm serving them that only in this case the first seat is able to like actually be able to play back with me, and he was in this case actually having more fun playing with me than the everybody else, which I didn't know about. So there's that.
Well, that's a compliment to how you played tennis back in the day.
But yeah,
Oh yeah.
if I were able to do that, I would do that or volleyball. That shit is fun.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Victor? What sport?
Bro, I'll still stick with basketball. I used to play basketball as a kid. I grew up playing basketball. Played for high school, kind of technically.
I mean,
But after that,
played for a season.
I mean, like I found out that I have zero stamina, and I was a small boy.
Can't have 5'4".
That,
5'6.5".
7? Both of y'all still wrong.
You just added streaks to make yourself 5'7".
Bro, what do you mean, bro? I'm 5'7" naturally, bro.
That's cap, dog.
No, you can't, bro.
Man, I don't need to care at all. Both of y'all are short compared to me.
Yeah, I still body you.
Yeah, fuck you.
I'll lift your ass off the ground and like call you my little princess.
What the fuck?
Ooh, baby.
But
definitely basketball. I still want to play basketball more. I just don't have the stamina now that I'm growing older.
Nah.
But at least I'm watching basketball again, so I'm getting back into that.
Oh yeah, dude. I probably do football as my number one choice. I had this conversation earlier. Dude, I was probably like the only Asian kid playing at recess. I'm like, damn, it's actually pretty decent. You know, why didn't you try it? I'm like, yeah, because I had no insurance. So if I got flown to the moon by the linebacker that I had to face, you know,
that happens to be 6'4".
Yeah, like I'm getting like essentially murdered on the football field. I'm like, I can't afford that. Like, you know, my mom was like, no, I don't want you to play football. Like, man, they're more like thinking, go become like a doctor or something. Go get a job. Like, if I want to play football, like I didn't, because who the hell is gonna take me?
Yeah, bro. Well, you should have became a doctor. So if you do play football and you hurt yourself, you just operate on yourself, bro.
That's my secondary choice.
Oh gosh.
Like, you know, become a doctor so I
Dr.
get
Tran in the NFL, bro. I could see it happening.
God damn.
Get my doctor while I'm playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
God.
Like you see me playing for my boys, like on Sports Center, so like top 10 highlights for the week and shit. And I'm doing like a fucking pirouette, like toe tap, you know, like damn, that boy trying salmon, damn, what? I don't know. Probably second, either soccer or volleyball. I love the aspect of soccer. You can literally, you don't have to like, even people like me and Victor, we could probably, if we built up stamina, we could play in the leagues, you know, maybe not in the Premier Leagues and all that, because they're like a different like fucking breed.
Yes, we can play in the small boy leagues.
Yeah, so we'll just play in the MLS, you know, get paid like $60-$70, like $1,000 or something. But if I
what the fuck? Wait, huh?
I don't know. I don't know the actual salary, but MLS
70,000. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
60.
Like, I'd rather be a software engineer and bitch at all my meetings, all right?
I mean, yeah, like, but soccer, I do enjoy. I did play it like at recess too. Like a lot of these sports I played at recess, and I was like, oh, this is fun, you know. Like that's probably like that in video games, like sports being at school, like you know, it was more like camaraderie thing.
Yeah, esports. Yeah. You know what? I actually wanted at some point in time, I wanted to be a pro player in the league.
Yeah. I actually low key probably wanted to be like a Halo Pro player, like back in
Mhm.
Halo 3 days, but I
Oh
was only
man.
12 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
But a teenage boy can dream. But nowadays
Absolutely. Teenage boys can
you
definitely
have
dream. And I
16-year-olds playing Valorant right now. I don't know. They're like pretty young and they're in
nah,
Valorant.
dude, pro Valorant, pro Fortnite. It's crazy stuff, bro.
Yeah, even CS too. Damn, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like the young kids this generation, like when it comes to turning like esports, like they're crazy.
I think they have
Like
ADHD powering them
well,
at that point.
well, no, I think they have a better chance of like being a younger generation and being a pro because the whole sport has been the whole esports scene has been a lot more developed than it was back in our age. Let me
Yeah.
be honest.
FGC
Oh, yeah.
still stay the same. But yes, go on. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
Either way, I'm saying like a lot, like 17-year-olds being pros now.
Hmm.
You know, it's a lot more common because the game's been improved. The whole scene's been improved. Back
Yeah.
when we
yeah.
were 17 and younger, like it was just I don't know, it just seemed like a bunch of guys just playing together, playing against other people. It didn't really feel like a sports event.
Right.
Now you have colleges that that have esports teams. This is how serious it's got. Like how it
Yeah,
progressed.
yeah,
I will
absolutely.
I will say what it is. This is from a secondhand account from somebody that played the UTD esports. Yeah, they do not know how to play as a team. They just get absolutely destroyed by randos.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I'm
god.
not surprised.
But yes.
Look,
Anyways.
not everybody's good, all right. But that's why there's only one champion and not a million.
But yes. But yeah, esports itself too. This is like one of the hot topics to like debate whether or not if they're like an actual sports or not, or they should have the classification of a sport. And I'm like, why does that matter?
I think it is a sport.
It is a sport.
Anything that you put a lot of time into and you're competing competitively against like other players to see who's the best, I still think it's a sport.
Mhm.
It's just not a non-physical sport. It's more of a mentally
I mean,
inducing.
it's still physical. You always got to move
It's
your.
not as
You
physical.
gotta move.
Like,
You gotta move your mouse.
yeah,
You gotta press some keys on the keyboard.
yeah,
It's pretty
whatever.
physical.
That's besides the
You
point.
get carpal tunnel, bro. It's a serious thing.
Victor,
Yeah, there are.
Victor,
It's
you don't
mainly
need to project yourself.
yeah.
You don't need to project yourself onto this matter.
I'm
Okay,
projecting myself. What you
man.
mean, bro? I don't even play competitive games. What do you mean?
Not that now, but you know what? Fair enough.
This guy's just old. I'm just kidding.
Shut up,
I don't
Victor.
even
You're
have
about to get
carpal
old
tunnel
with
either.
us too.
What you mean?
Man.
He gets out of bed and he needs like fucking needs some icy hot. Like he needs Shaq to be there to apply some icy hot for him.
Damn. I'd
Like
be
he's the
freak,
spokesperson.
man. Firstly, I'd be freaking out too. Why the fuck is Shaq in my house? And secondly, why are you rubbing icy hot on me? This is so weird.
Hey, he's the spokesperson. He's got a sponsor. He's like promoted.
Absolutely.
He, like a big man doing like a little wiggle dance.
He's got to show you that it works.
Man.
Yeah, icy hot. It works. If he applies it and you don't feel any pain, then yeah, that's what Victor has to go through. It's like, my back, apply some ice. Ooh, I'm good.
Bro,
Like,
my
he's straight.
back's fine, bro. Why y'all thinking I ain't old, bro?
No, shut up. Yeah, you old.
Yeah, you
Ryan's
old.
older, bro.
Hey, don't wrap
Brian's
me
the one
out
that
about
real
that.
having. Brian the real one having back problems here, bro. I'm still fine.
Look, I only have back problems because I fell down the stairs.
Yeah, that's a personal issue, isn't it?
Hey, shut up.
Bro, I'll take
But-
that down the stairs next time.
Man. Anyways, if anything, I feel like this is also a good sort of wrapping up point, unless there's something else you guys would like to say here.
I mean,
Sports is weird, bro.
Yeah.
Why does everybody like fondling with balls?
true. They do. There are some weird cultures out there, like within like specifically. And one little thing I know in Buffalo for the Buffalo Bills when
Mhm.
they're tailgating,
Yeah.
they like to jump through a table.
Jump
Like they'll
through
get
the
high
table.
up and they will jump through a table. Sometimes they light on fire too. Like I've seen it. Like this is an actual thing. They land like they jump through the table, whether it's concrete or they have some padding after they land. It's entirely up to them. But it is that is Buffalo's culture.
What is the
It's
purpose?
crazy. I just want
Ah.
to add that like sports fans are crazy.
They are
Oh, yeah.
absolutely
But they're passionate.
insane
I
from what it
fucking love
sounds like. Nah, no, they're crazy. No passionate. No such thing.
No, they're passionate and crazy. They're
Passionately
synonymous.
crazy. Yes, yes, yes.
They're synonymous.
They're yeah, they can't be separated from each other at that point. But Victor, do you have any closing statements?
Already did.
Oh, you did? Shit, I didn't
But
hear you.
I literally just said the fondling balls.
I don't know, man. I just chose to
Everybody-
ignore that part.
Fondling
This boy
balls
doesn't
or
even listen,
holding
bro.
on to sticks.
But I believe
Holding
it
on to
up
sticks
to
while smacking balls. Yeah.
Oh my
Hey,
god.
you want to smack balls like in baseball? You want to
Hey,
throw the
yo.
balls, smack it, and catch it? You do all of it.
Oh
Yeah,
my
dude.
god. But anyways, thank you again for coming in tonight to watch us at the latter half of the stream just start devolving into our degeneracy once again.
Absolutely. This is the Hotter Trash podcast after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if anything, I'll say actually before we end it off, let's do the hotter trash closing statement here. What is your hotter trash take on any sports though?
Brian's trash.
Hey.
Besides that, the Cowboys will not win a Super Bowl this year, and I fucking hate all the fans that say they will. Because I'm one of those fans, and realistically, they have sucked for the past 2 decades and more.
Yeah, and they'll keep sucking for sure. Yeah.
Like, dude, they have a great regular season, go into the first round playoffs, then get murdered by the Green Bay Packers.
Oh yeah.
Because you know why? They freaking played DBs as linebackers. Oh, let me put like a 200-pound guy in the middle who's about to get demolished by a 300-pound lineman, and
Absolutely,
they can't do
absolutely.
anything about it. I'm like, please, the Cowboys suck. I love them, but they sucking right now. Until they win a Super Bowl or get to the fucking conference championship. My voice cracked, I noticed. But when they get to the conference championship, then I'll say something.
All
At
right.
least they made it past the divisionals. That's all I have to say. Closing statement. I'm done.
That's Lloyd's hot take. All right, my positive hot take is that Dallas
Oh, that was
the
awesome,
Mavericks.
by the way.
That's okay, I guess. All right, my positive
Mavericks
hot
gonna win
take
the
is that
finals.
the Mavericks is gonna win the finals. That's it.
The other hot take about that on top of that is that the Mavericks is the only good Dallas team.
I mean, Texas won.
Hey, don't forget the
World
Dallas Stars,
Series.
bro. They're in the conference
Oh, my
finals.
bad. Oh, my bad.
Texas won the World Series. What do you mean, bro?
Oh, yeah,
dude,
that's,
Rangers.
sorry about
and
that.
That's why I said every team in the DFW Metroplex are good except the Cowboys.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
absolutely.
They have went to the conference finals or either one it all in the past year. Rangers won it last year in November. And now both the Stars and the Mavericks are in their conference finals in their respective sports.
Here's
Yeah.
my other hot take. All these teams that are playing against the Mavericks, they're losing to a cripple. Luka Doncic has literally been injured for like these past few playoff series.
What is y'all's excuse?
For real.
Dude, this man's playing injured, still putting up a triple-double. I don't know what
Yeah.
y'all doing.
Bro, and some
He's
other
playing
people
like-
just like having a headache and they're probably sitting out a game.
Like I'm exhausted. Bitch, you are 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, goddamn. Anyways, the other
I know
hot
you play
take.
professional sports, but damn.
Yeah, the last hot take I already said at the beginning too. 49ers should have won that too. They fucking got fucking butchered out, or their script wasn't lined up to allow them to win. God damn it.
Patrick Mahomes is better.
Damn
Yeah,
it.
dude.
Fuck you, Swifty fans. You're the reason.
Hey, he's more of a
Bro,
Texas boy.
why everyone blaming the Swifties for Kansas
I
City
am.
winning, right? I don't get it, bro. I mean, like, leave Taylor alone. She got nothing to do with this.
I have nothing against Taylor. Just her fan base. Fuck them.
Okay, what a fan base got to do with it, bro?
I don't
You
know.
like
I
him,
just
you
want to
don't
be.
like him. Bro, you
guess
don't
Brian
even know,
does.
bro.
I just want to
This boy
blame on
hates
him.
for no reason, bro.
Hell yeah, this is the year to be a hater. Fuck y'all. But anyways,
That's why I hope Kansas City wins next year too.
fuck you.
Yeah, just in spite of you, Brian. I would say,
Man.
Why do you? I hope Kansas City wins again. I hope. Patrick Mahomes proves that he deserves that $500 million contract.
Oh my god.
I really
Anyways,
hope so.
anyways, thank you again for tuning in for another shit-tacular of the Hot or Trash podcast.
Indeed.
But yeah,
Thank you for
we'll
coming, everyone.
yeah, we'll probably talk a lot more about this too. What's like a lot of like major sport events are coming up. In this case, tune into the next NBA finals coming up too.
Yes, we'll do a podcast whenever finals is around.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir. The Mavericks.
so yeah, we'll see you until then. Until next time. Peace.
Go Mavs.
Until we meet again.